Welcome to the Twist, number 136. Rick, this is Mark, and it's my day off, doing it on a Wednesday out here in rural New Jersey. We've had some nice, really cool mornings. I love that being under the covers. It's still getting hot during the day, but my kind of weather is definitely coming in there. What you got going on where you are?
Well, you're an October baby. Mark's birthday is in October, everyone. Good day, everyone. So that's why you like it. I like fall because I love winter. It's my favorite season. So fall sits between my two favorite seasons, and I love fall. Just do. I have a lot going on. Yeah, I do have a lot going on. I'm drinking some raspberry flavored coffee, complimentary from my friend Patty. I'm at Patty's house, as you see. I'm not at my
Oh,
home.
okay, yeah. I was gonna say I didn't notice, but you're right. I thought you were in like a it looks like an Art Deco hotel or something.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a little Frank Lloyd Wright-ish, but it's not. It's in Sun Prairie, which is the home of George O'Keeffe. I'm sitting in history here.
Very cool.
But anyway, for those that haven't watched us, we usually post this on YouTube. Mark and I like to see each other when we talk. We communicate better. But that's going on. And Mark, I never knew you'd wake up one day, not you, but one could wake up one day and say, I'm fat. And that's what happened to me this morning. I looked in the mirror and like overnight, I got fat.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject for me because I've gained I'm a good 30 pounds overweight. It's not good, but it's also hard to lose. And I'm a stress slash anxiety eater, and these are some really stressful effing times.
You think? You
Oh my
think?
God, yes. Between I worked through the pandemic, so I'm dealing with this insanity at work where you can only go down the aisle one way, and that's pretty much over now. But we all wear masks. But my point is, it's been stressful. It hasn't stopped for me. There was no
Right.
lockdown. There was no a month at home, setting up my home computer and asking everybody what they're reading, what they're binge watching on lockdown. I was working. And now, of course, we got this election shit, and it's so stressful. I want it over just to have that part of it over. It's like for the next 8 weeks, I don't know what's going to happen. I can speculate, but it's very stressful and nothing. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I sure eat some ice cream. You know.
It's for sure. But on the good side of things, I just want to shout out to my friend Hillary. Hillary, you see her name here in the book.
Oh, hi,
I met Hillary
Hillary.
about a couple of years ago when we judged the Miss National Sweetheart pageant. Her mom was Miss America 50 years ago. She dedicates the book to her mom, but it's called Here She Is, The Complicated Reign of the Beauty Pageant in America. Hillary Friedman. Wonderful read, guys. You can find it on Amazon. She inscribed it for me, like Mark, you do when
Oh,
you write your.
nice, really nice.
Yeah, she said, let's have a drink together because that's what I do so well. But anyway, pick it up, guys. Find it on Amazon. I wrote a wonderful review for it. It aligns feminism to the pageant world. It's quite fascinating.
By the
It's a little
way, by
deeper.
the way, don't let me forget this because we're going to get into some promos and stuff. I want her on my interview podcast, one thing or another.
You want? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll set
Absolutely.
that up for
We
you.
offline. You gotta send me her contact info.
Once she's on your coast, she lives in Rhode Island. She teaches at Brown University. Her husband used to work for Obama. He's economist. What do you call it? Economist.
Economist. He's an economist.
Yeah, Jonathan, super smart guy like you. But you want to talk about some books you've got out there, don't you?
Well,
That's
actually,
wonderful.
it's. I want to talk about my podcast.
Yeah, that's
My
it. What's
my
going on?
my quote other podcast. First of all, folks, we are. I. If the video is good, this will also be on YouTube, so you can look for it on YouTube. You can find us at the twistpodcast.com or go to YouTube. I think you can search for anyways. It's on. I'm putting it on YouTube. If the video is good, if it's not, forget it. It's audio only. But no, I have a second podcast. It's an interview slash conversation chat podcast. It was on vacation for a little while, but it's coming back this month. I got coming up next week. I got author John Wilson Morgan, who's Edgar Award when Edgar Awards are for mystery writers.
Yes.
His first novel, Simple Justice, featuring gay. He was an award winner for his first novel, Simple Justice, featuring gay reporter and sleuth Benjamin Justice. It's being reissued this month by Requeered Tales. Now, I have friends who founded that, and what they do, Requeered does is it's reissuing classic and sometimes just forgotten gay mysteries, LGBT
Huh.
mysteries. Because everything's changed now, and a lot of it's being written by cisgender white women. But, anyways, I won't get into that. So, anyways, his book's coming back out. First came out in '96. It's coming back out in September, and I'm interviewing him. I also wrote the foreword for Grant Michaels' reissue by the same publishers. it's called Time to Check Out. I wrote the foreword for that. That's coming up soon. And also this month, then I'll stop. I got Terry Schlickenmeyer, our bookworm friend, coming on to talk about best books to read as summer comes to a close. I've got humorist Faye Jacobs. I'm really excited about that. She lives in Rehoboth Beach. She's been around for a long time. Hysterical, love her books. Frank really enjoys sitting on the beach reading her books. And then I got Matt Lubbersmore. He's one of the founders of Requeered Tales, specializing in reissuing those gay classics. And as I said, I wrote the foreword for that book. I'm not going to plug my own books. I'll do that some other time. But I just wanted to promo that stuff. So everybody, it's called One Thing or Another. You can find it at onethingoranotherpodcast.com. You can find it on Libsyn, Stitcher, iHeart, every place that this podcast is. You can find that one. Just look for One Thing or Another. Mark McNease.
Awesome stuff. You got a lot going on. You keep yourself busy for what you call.
Well, I'm a lot of stuff I don't do anymore. Like I'm LGBT senior good. I'm just done. So I have to have stuff to do all the time, and I'm really excited that in less than 2 years I will have much more time to do it because I will be retiring.
Oh, that's so exciting. One thing new for me to keep myself busy as we go into the election, like you said, my friend Amy told me that I should work the election, and I am. I'm going to be a poll volunteer. It's actually a paid position as well.
Wow.
And I want to remind people, so I'm going to do that here in the little area of Madison, Sun Prairie, but I want to remind people, if you have an absentee ballot like I've signed up for this entire year, you can still fill that out and bring it to your polling place where someone will, in front of you, put it into the machine and register your vote. And I encourage that, not to get too lost in the election stories, Mark, but I encourage that because there's a lot of fear this year about absentee ballots. So if you haven't, just drive up. They even have people on the curb, I think, at a lot of polling places will grab your absentee ballot and stick it in the system for you.
Yeah, that's what we're going to have here. There's going to be drop boxes. Yeah, boy, we could talk about that, but we just don't have time. It's so disconcerting because a lot of states, having never anticipated what we're going through, you can't even open the ballot until Election Day, the mail-in ballot. They're not even allowed to open it. So it's going to create this situation where unless Biden is the clear winner on election night, it could be weeks while they're counting ballots and Donald Trump is insisting that he won and they have to stop. I mean, it's going to be really ugly because he's an ugly, ugly, ugly man. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. The other new thing I want to tell people about is Taco Bell. Big uproar. I don't know. Are you a Taco Bell user?
I've been there. It's kind of like, come on, when you've had real Mexican food. But I've been to Taco Bell. Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I ask my group of friends, they're going to prefer a Taco Bell to a McDonald's. But they are redesigning themselves as like mobile on units or whatever. So they're going to have 2 drive-through lanes, less dining room space. This is a result of the coronavirus, where an additional 5 million cars came through the taco chain's drive-throughs this time of year compared to last time of year. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But at the same time, and so those will come out after January 1st. At the same time, a lot of people upset. You mentioned Mexican food. They had a Mexican pizza that they loved and fans loved. They dropped it from the menu as a cost savings, and I think they should have. It required special packaging and had to be folded, and it was like a little lip on it, And they're saving 7 million pounds of paperboard every year now because of dropping that item. They dropped the 7-layer burrito. A lot of people upset about that. The cheesy fiesta potatoes. All these are cost savings, and they said look for other chains to be making similar changes, including McDonald's. So fast food being affected. Yeah.
I went to McDonald's yesterday, by the way, or 2 days ago on my other day off, and I thought they were doing breakfast all day. But
I thought they used to advertise they did.
They told me no. I had to get fish sandwiches for me and Frank because the person told me they weren't doing breakfast. Now, that's deceiving advertising, unless they stop because of the pandemic.
You know what you do in times like that? You just say, you asshole,
complain
under your
about
mask.
Complain.
No, you say, you asshole, under your mask, and you won't know if it's you or Frank calling the guy an asshole.
Well, I was going to say, he wasn't with me, but I do like the fact that with the mask on, I can say, I can tell customers at work what I really think of them, as long as I keep my voice down. And I make funny faces. Like I make really weird, inappropriate faces that could get me fired.
Or you can have a conversation with yourself all day and no one has an idea you're talking to yourself. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, here it says McDonald's breakfast all day, Mark. I think you might see all day breakfast.
I'm going to write to the CEO.
I'm not very excited about it. Another new thing. Do you know about this chocolate called Ruby chocolate?
No,
It was created in 2017. You'll start to see it popping up. It's taking some time, but what it is, it's pink chocolate. So it's finally the fourth chocolate ever existing: dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, which some will argue isn't really a chocolate. And now
It's
they've
not.
launched a new chocolate called Ruby Chocolate. It's got a berry kind of taste. It's awesome. You're to see it start to pop up in cookies and different things on the shelf. So, little forecast here because it's only been around for 3 years. But look for Ruby Chocolate, guys. It's the
I'm gonna
newest.
keep my eye out, keep my nose out.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. There's some good chocolates out there. So
Okay, we ready for to getting on in here?
getting on in.
What's new?
What's new, Mark? I was giving you some what's new stuff. What else is new in your world?
Oh,
I was jumped into the show before you even knew
well,
I jumped.
no, I'm looking at our format because we do have a format.
Oh, I was following it without letting people know.
Okay. What's new? For me, it's just all the tell all books about Donald Trump that are out right now, like right now.
And more coming.
More. We've got Disloyal by Michael Cohen, who I tend to believe for the most part. I don't think he's a good writer. I read some excerpts. He's not a very good writer. But anyways, but I do believe him. I mean, he was Trump's right hand man, and so
Went to jail.
I think most of what he's saying is absolutely true. There's Too Much and Never Enough by Mary Trump. Goddess bless her. The Room Where It Happened by John Bolton. By the way, what was it? Like the Bolton book, I don't think is out, but like The Room Where It Happened. What the hell was it?
Right.
If it was the Ukraine thing, then so what? He got off. Hoax by Brian Stelter. Donald Trump versus the United States by Michael Schmidt. I like Michael Schmidt quite a bit. He's a Republican. And Warning by Anonymous, because Anonymous wrote this op-ed in the New York Times a long time ago, and now this anonymous person has a book out. Will you, won't you, do you care? That's my
Oh, but
what's
there's
new.
also a Sarah Sanders book coming out.
Oh, never. I don't even
Sarah
want to. No, don't
Sanders
give her.
speaking
Don't
for
do not give her the.
myself.
Don't give her the publicity.
No, it's not just. It's called Faith, Freedom, and the Fight of Our Lives Inside the Trump White House. But she reveals some anti-Trump stuff in it, like
Well,
that Trump
surprises
wanted to
me.
throw her to the president of Korea. He's like, "Hey, take it for the team. Take it for America. Your family may not be happy about it,
That
but take
was
it for the
her.
team." Yes, this is a true story. Look it up online.
No, I heard about it, but I didn't know it was her. I just don't like her, and I know that when she says the fight of our lives, I haven't read the book, but I suspect that's a reference to the whole let's make America a white Christian nation thing. But
I know, yeah, lots of tell-all books out for sure. Also, speaking of on the other side of things, here's what's new. Last night they did the black version of the Golden Girls, and it was hosted by
really,
Zoom. Yeah, it was a fundraiser. It was put together by Tracy Ross, who I love. Many people don't know that's Diana Ross's daughter.
yeah, Tracy Ellis Ross.
I love her. So she put it together. She played, who did she play in there? She played Rose, I think. Yeah, she did. Regina King was in it. It was awesome. It looked like a Zoom thing, but they basically was a script reading. Zoom's going to do more of these. They're partnering with other organizations. This was really to help show the challenges of Black Lives Matter movement and moving that forward. And I know Blackish too is coming back October 4th, and before it, ahead of season 7, they're going to do a premiere. They're going to do a special 2020 election show called Part 1 and Part 2, using their characters to help drive the message of getting out there and voting and showing how important it is. So that's new. That's what's new.
Very nice. I like Tracy Ellis Ross. Oh, and I love Regina King. She's really awesome as an actress. I mean, they're all awesome people.
And it was great. Before you could register for the Zoom thing, you had to confirm that you filled out the census, and you had to confirm that you are registered to vote. And then you could join the reading last night. Pretty cool, huh?
I like that. I also like this image because you brought up Black Lives Matter that I saw on TV online. It was a guy He looks like a almost stereotypical hillbilly white guy, and he had a red hat on, right? You know what that means. But
No, he did
when
not.
when you looked up, it said, "Ha, made you look. Black Lives Matter." I loved it. I want one.
Did it really do that?
Yeah, it was really
That
cool.
is so smart. Where did you see him?
Online, where I see everything.
I love it. I love it.
What's your
What
topic?
else is-
What's your topic today?
Oh, is that our what's new? Are we done?
Well, I've got third parties and 51st State.
Oh yeah, that's our today's topic. Are we at that point in the show?
Well, I'm done with my what's new. Do you have more?
Don't we have news headlines to read?
Oh,
Well, no, let's jump
No,
into
but we got
today's.
no. I got headlines, but we got to figure this out because I had topic before headlines, but that's okay.
Well, let's do topic then. I think it's good.
All right,
I'm ready.
you want me to do
Yeah,
it?
so we're going to talk about some things, and I posted yesterday on social media and say, hey, we're dropping a new show soon. Is it viable to have a 51st state? I'm going to talk about that a little bit because there's a lot of discussion about that with the Supreme Court ruling in Oklahoma. And then, Mark, I really am leaving on you to talk about, is there hope for a third party in our country? We've been talking about it ever since I was 18 years old and able to vote. Do you think it could ever happen?
You want me to start?
Yeah, I do, because I'm
Well,
curious.
we already have third parties. We have the Libertarian Party.
It's
But
true.
do you mean can they succeed?
Yeah, viable, like that they will really ever elect someone into a
No.
major position, senatorial,
No.
gubernatorial.
Well, gubernatorial there is. I thought the governor of Maine at one point was an independent. I
You're
thought,
right. Jesse Ventura was an independent in Minnesota. You're right.
and Bernie's a independent. But as
Lieberman was an independent. Good
as the
point.
president, no. I don't think it's ever going to happen. And it wasn't supposed to be this way. The founders, there were no political parties when this nation was founded. And they were actually very skeptical and concerned about the formation of parties. But that's what happened. We can't change that. But we live in effectively a two-party system, certainly on the federal level. So I don't see it ever. The most they're ever going to do is siphon off votes that can throw the election to one person or another. George W. Bush probably would have won without Ross Perot being involved. You know, I don't know. I would like to see, but I don't just want third parties. I want third, fourth, and fifth parties. I would like to live in a system where political parties actually had a chance of affecting something. But voting for Jill Stein just gave us Donald Trump. You know,
Right.
and you
In
and
our
I,
last week's episode, we talked about us both voting, and we didn't know it for Nader for the Green.
I
was it
voted for
Green
Nader
Party?
because I knew he wasn't going to win New York, and I could do that. But I would never do that again because I don't want it on my record. Even if the record is in my head, I don't want it in my head that I voted for instance, you know, Jill Stein, who I didn't like anyways, and Trump won. I just don't ever want to. I don't want to have to live with that. So unfortunately, because the way our system is set up, I don't think there will ever be a viable. The closest it ever came, I believe, was Teddy Roosevelt when he ran as a bull moose.
That's right. People
You
don't.
know,
I think a lot of people don't know that history. I forgot all about that.
but in today's world, no, and we're so polarized now that a third party doesn't have a chance.
When you talk about the people that did succeed, the Liebermans, Sanders, and stuff, when push came to shove, Sanders did not run for president or for he ran under the Democratic Party for
Well,
the
plus they
Democratic.
have to caucus. They have to
Oh,
caucus with a
true.
Republicans or the Democrats. I don't think they have the option of caucusing with themselves. So even if you win, even if you're a senator who's an independent, you have to caucus with one of the two parties.
That's a good point. Our country's just not set up that way to have that kind of infrastructure. I don't think we'll ever see it. And usually it's just called independent party because they're going to vote the way they want to vote. It's not like I believe in the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, which has a belief system, right? And an
I,
order
and
of
I'm,
beliefs.
I do want to say one other thing. First of all, I do think it could be very viable on a local level, maybe a statewide level. But I noticed too, and I want to put this out there. Every time I've known somebody who said they were, quote, independent, but they would not vote for the other party. In other words, like I know somebody who's a couple of people who are Republicans, but they don't like Trump. So they're saying like I'm an independent. I'm not sure who. But I know they're not going to vote for Biden. So if you are not going to vote for a Democrat, or if you're if you're not going to vote, stop calling yourself an independent when you're really not. It's just a way of saying, you know, I'll admit that Trump's a dirty scumbag, and I can't vote for him. But there's no way I'm going to vote for Biden. So don't call yourself an independent if you're not. To me, an independent means you really could vote for one or the other.
That's a good point. Yeah, I just don't, and I like what you said about 5, 6, 7 party systems. Japan has done that successfully. There's other countries that have done it. It's just not happening. So
No, and
yeah,
it brings on a whole slew of problems where they have to form coalitions, and it can be actually more chaotic. But like, how much more chaotic could our world be right now? That's what I got.
that's what I got. Well, I want to tell you about another unreality as it relates to things. Is the 51st party idea in the United States. You know, when you watch the conventions, you actually see that there's
51st
like
state.
51st state, huh?
You said party. It's 51st
Oh,
state.
state. Yeah, we wouldn't have 51 parties. That's right. But you see that territories have the right to cast some ballots. There's a lot of movement. DC, there's some votes going on right now that are taking it toward the possibility of being a 51st state. We did mention on a previous podcast that the map of the world hasn't changed in like months or even a year. I think it hit that anniversary. So it would affect that. Now, it's a sensitive subject to me because I grew up in northern Wisconsin where all of our tax dollars, what we heard from our parents at least, and our teachers went down to Madison and took care of the big urban areas of Madison, Milwaukee, Green Bay. But we in the North Country where we had 1,200 people and still only have 1,200 people in my hometown, not the same 1,200 because I did leave and then some child was born, don't have fair representation. The UP of Michigan, that little peninsula up there, also feels the same, that all of its tax energy and all of the attention and votes and stuff goes to Detroit and the bigger metro areas. So for years, there was a movement when we grew up about the state of Superior because both of those areas border the big body of water known as the Great Lake of Lake Superior. Puerto Rico, there's discussion of that. Will it join the statehood? What I referenced in Oklahoma, Mark, was, of course, Supreme Court is giving back, I don't know, what is it, a quarter or almost a half of the state back to the tribal lands that they were. And there was a movement as early as 1905 for the state of, I'm going to not say this correctly, but Sequoyah, Sequoyah, an Indian name. It was a proposed state to be established from the Indian Territory in the eastern part of the present-day Oklahoma. This went through a lot of votes and a lot of action. They were going to have Cherokee language as their national language. So you wonder, with the movement going on there now, if we will see a 51st state coming out of Oklahoma. One other one I want to mention that I find, two other ones I want to mention. There's a lot of movement going on in Seattle and the rest of Western Washington want to annex themselves. And they're hoping to get in the ballot in November to have some movement in that area. And they want to call it Liberty. So that state, if it forms, would be called Liberty. I don't think it's going to happen. And then one last movement I never heard of is they call it the Wexit. And it's talking about the western part of Canada. And there's a big movement up there. I find this interesting for Alberta to actually leave and become part of the United States.
Wow. Why in the hell would they want to be part of this country?
Well, they're saying they don't like
That's just really weird.
Isn't that weird?
Goodbye healthcare. Goodbye healthcare.
Yeah, you guys better rethink this. They're saying that that for them they don't like the way their president is treating them. That Trudeau has hurt them drastically, and actually some of the leaders there like what Trump's doing in the United States. So who knows? But they want to join the Union of the United States. There's billboards up all over with Trump's image saying, "Hey, come join the United States. We'll start our own little state up there." So I don't think any of them are likely. I think the one that may happen, and I would like to see, is the Oklahoma thing. But then again, I don't know if it'll really happen.
Well, the Canadian thing would be a problem because they're not the United States. I mean, it's a different country. They would have to secede from Canada. That's really complicated. I do think Puerto Rico, of course, they voted on it, could become a state, and I think D.C. should be a state. There's 700,000 people who live in Washington D.C. and they have wanted to be a state for a long time, but they're being stopped by it now. I did read about this recently. To become a state, you have to petition Congress, so you don't just get to say, "Oh, we're a state."
Right.
And it has to be approved through Congress. And earlier, like 100 years ago, Republicans had approved like this quick succession of states. I'm going to just guess like Oklahoma and whatever, because they wanted the extra senators. Every time there's a state, you get 2 senators. And so Republicans earlier in the 19th century, I believe it was, had rushed through approving states because they wanted the 2 Republican senators. And it's a big reason. This is where I'm going with this, and we'll move on. It's a big reason that like people like Mitch McConnell have vowed that D.C. will never be a state. They don't want Puerto Rico as a state because they assume, probably rightly, that would be adding 2 Democratic senators to the Senate. That's
definitely what happened in D.C.
That's a big part of why they don't want that.
Why does everything have to be politics?
Oh, because it's America. We'd move it on to the headlines.
We moving on up. You shoot, Mark. What you got?
I will tell you. I don't want to lose my paperwork here, and every time I turn away, I know that my audio is going down. Anita Hill says she's going to vote for Joe Biden.
Ah, good for her.
Yeah, good for her. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to do what's right, and I think a lot of her quote defenders are a lot more anti Joe Biden than she is. It's just the world is different. Shit happens. That's the way it is. You move on. Oh, this gender reveal party that's burned down half of California.
Holy flops, that's scary.
They were the fire that's raging in California and has consumed more a million acres. It's historic. Was started by this couple doing a gender reveal party. Now, I read recently an article by the woman who started it. She didn't mean to start it. She shared on her blog several years ago about doing this gender reveal party, and it was very simple. It might have just been a cake, like a pink blue cake, whatever.
Yeah.
But it turned into this really giant thing, especially obviously with straight people having babies. And like it's a big, and they try to outdo each other, so they have fireworks and all this other shit. And it's burning down millions of acres in California. And it's like, just stop this stupid shit. First of all, if you don't know your baby's gender, just leave it alone. If you do know, then tell people. There's no reason to have this fake thing that was just kind of really invented to keep party planners in business. This gender reveal nonsense. It's absurd. And what happens if you have this massive gender reveal party for a boy, and 5 years later that boy says, "Mommy, I'm a girl."
Yeah, and then the digital footprint on how Facebook shows that reveal. I think these kind of parties, something you and our generation wasn't familiar with. Well, first of all, a lot of parents didn't want to know their gender, or couldn't know their gender until closer to birth time. I mean, at birth time. But I think a lot of it is just the social media way of them announcing on social media.
Oh, yeah. It's like, how many views can we get?
Yeah, right.
With this insanity, and we're going to burn down California.
So
That's got a lot of views, didn't it?
Lesson learned from it. The day before that happened, I was out at a bonfire in northern Wisconsin where I vacationed this weekend with some friends for Labor Day. And my friend Alejandra had brought Chinese lanterns. Now, the story behind those is they're illegal in a lot of places because they do a similar thing. You light it, and then when you light the bottom, it goes up. Oh, yeah. My nephew Hunter and her put it up in the sky, and we were all watching in fear over the beautiful forest that it was going to hit a tree. Well, fortunately, my friend Patty saw it go to the other side, and we saw it eventually burn out in the sky. But I used to do these down in Shreveport. When I'd be upset, I always lit my lanterns off my porch. My friends Mary and Darla and Eva and I have a running joke where I was like, that is a highly dangerous and highly illegal activity. Well, I'm telling you that night, Mark, I sat and prayed for 10 minutes that nothing would happen. Then the news came out the next day, and it's like, no more Chinese lanterns for me. No baby reveal parties. When I have my child, you got to wait. Okay, Mark?
Okay.
Now burn down the forest.
Now I have one last one. I didn't have a lot today. I mean,
Wait, did you like this visual for those watching? Sorry,
I love it. I love it.
Just came up
because I thought you were like throwing your glasses at me.
I know, it's pretty cool. Boop. Okay.
What was I going to say? Oh, there's all kinds of headlines, but I didn't catch a lot this weekend. Like the whole calling vets suckers and losers was just sad. I mean, it was heartbreaking, really, because my father was a vet. But anyways, my last headline has kind of to do with the blowing up things. A man blew up part of his house. He was chasing a fly.
I saw you post about that. Tell me the story. That's hilarious.
It was in France, but he was in his 80s, and he was about to start dinner when he became irritated by a fly buzzing around. He picked up an electric fly swatter and started targeting it, but ended up igniting a gas canister and blowing up his house.
That's a real gear grinder, which we're going to get to later in the show.
Oh, yeah, okay. I do have a gear grinder. Okay, go ahead.
I got some, too. Mine, this one relates to nature. It's a story reported on CNN. Get paid $1,000 to digitally detox in nature. There's a contest out to help people get over their Zoom fatigue, and you have to apply, and you will go into – it's a Salt Lake City company that sponsored it. And it's a 48-hour dream job where you just go into the forest, no satellite internet. That's the name of the company, but they want you to go out. They're going to give you an RV rental. They're going to give you food to just go out and be in nature and see how it works for you. You know,
I like it. And you said Zoom detox?
Zoom, they're calling it Zoom fatigue, where we're just tired of these Zoom meetings and everything.
It's funny because I think I've said before, I never really heard of Zoom until the pandemic, and I don't like it. We did a Zoom thing the other night with the Democrats, the Kingwood Township Democrats, which was fine, but unless I have to do something like that, I'm not interested. I'm not a phone person, and I don't want to. It's not my thing, and it's like this big old thing now, the Zoom shit, and I'm like, please don't invite me to one. Thank you.
Oh, for sure. And you can find it online. Just Google it, guys. I'll try to put the link on our social media. You have to be 25 years or older. Winner will be announced September 23rd. You can use GPS and other digital applications to get to the site in any national forest you want. But once you're there for 48 hours, you have to go up. What do they call it? Go off the charts? Go off the
grid.
Yes. You'll like this story. It's a little old, but I want to remind people that states are still passing laws about face masks in the state of Illinois. Governor Pritzker, who's kind of been out there with a lot of his very aggressive attacks on, that state's been very aggressive. The mayor of Chicago himself just saying, hey, guys, no indoor dining yet still in that state. Very, very strict. But they are making it a felon, Mark. If you are an essential worker and you tell someone to put on a mask, and that person says, no, I'm not putting it on, and they get aggressive with you, it becomes a felon in the state of, you're liable to get a felon charge in the state of Illinois.
Well, you should, because it's not, we were told at the Giant, I've shared this before, we're not allowed to say anything. And it's really for our own safety, because these people are nuts, and they will harm you and scream at you and spit on you. So we don't say anything. If I see somebody without a mask at work, I just, bless them and hope something horrible happens to them. But that's it. We can't say anything, and we should be protected, because companies too. And I put this on the companies. They make a lot of them. They put this shit on the associates.
Right.
Like if you could hire security, hire somebody who's got some kind of authority and presence to tell people they got to do this. Don't put somebody you're paying $8 an hour to risk their life telling somebody to put a mask on.
It's dangerous stuff. It is. Speaking of value, Mark, there was a study that was just out showing the relative value of $100 in your state. I'm going to post this because it's interesting. So the Bureau of Economic Analysis does this. Basically, they say normalizing, here's what $100 is worth. But for $100 in the state of New York, you're only getting $85 on that $100. Wisconsin's kind of normalized. It's about $108. Jersey, about that too, $85. D.C., okay. $86. On the East Coast, you're not getting a lot of value. California, not getting a lot of value. Middle of America, like Colorado, where it's snowing, by the way, Wisconsin, Minnesota, you're getting about $102 on the dollar. But guess where your dollar goes the furthest?
Alaska, Puerto Rico.
Let me look at Alaska. Good question. No, Alaska, Washington, no, not so much. Alaska, $95, even less. Hawaii, wow. $84, even less. It's the worst. By the way,
what's
Hawaii,
the best? You were telling me the best.
Number one, Arkansas.
Oh, that makes sense.
So for every $100, you're making $17 in purchase power. So it's $117. Mississippi, number two. Alabama, number three. But God forbid would I want to live in Mississippi or Alabama. Now, Arkansas can handle it. It's a beautiful state. But interesting. I'll post that. That's my news story there. That's all I got for news.
Okay.
Oh, I got a fun one here real quick. Jelly Belly, the owner of Jelly Belly, is giving away. You can win a golden ticket to one of the Jelly Belly candies. You know, the ones that Reagan used to eat. They're flavored bellies. He's giving away one of his candy factories. So if anyone wants to own a candy factory, buy some Jelly Bellies, get the golden ticket. Remember from, what was that show, Golden Ticket thing? Gene Wilder.
No, the golden ticket is America's Got Talent.
Oh, I know, but remember,
Golden Buzzer.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay. Good that you remember that. I don't.
That's our news for today. Mark, let's play a little this or that, shall we?
Yeah, I got to find it. Hang on. You go first.
This or that, guys. Mark hates when I always try to describe to you what it is because it's kind of obvious, and you'll see once we jump in. I've got some ones for you, Mark. Are you ready? This or that, Mark.
Yeah.
Sweet or savory snacks. In other words, do you go for a potato chip or would you go for a chocolate chip and a cookie? Sweet or savory?
Really savory because I can overdo it on the sweets. Definitely savory.
Yeah, I like the taste of a chip and I like the crunch. Your turn.
Oh, indoor or outdoor dining. That's a good one.
Oh, my God. Outdoor dining all the time. And what kills it for me, though, is a lot of patios allow smoking. So it kind of makes me not like it.
In Wisconsin, they don't here. You can't smoke on a patio.
On an outdoor patio?
No.
See, in Louisiana, they allow it, and that just kills it for those of us like to eat outdoors.
Yeah, that's
so
weird.
I'm an outdoor diner, through and through. How about you?
Oh, I like outdoor, but I also like indoor. Like if it's really hot, and I don't know what we're going to do in the winter. They're starting to have indoor dining, so we'll end up inside again. But I enjoy outdoor dining at this time.
That's cool. I got one for you. What is worse, laundry or dishes?
Well, Frank does the laundry. I got to give him that. Since I now that I work and he's retired, he does the laundry all the time. I'm gonna say laundry. I'd rather just do the dishes and be done with it. Laundry, it's like you got to go back down to the washing machine, put them in the dryer. Definitely dishes. Laundry's worse. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I think they both suck. Just
Okay.
saying. How about you?
Well, we just went through this where Frank had to get a new phone, iPhone or Samsung.
Oh my God, iPhone 100%. I can't figure out an Android.
Okay.
How about you?
iPhone because I've had one and it syncs up again along with my devices. That's one of the things I like about it because I use notes. Like I make notes to myself and it'll be on my desktop and my iPad, whatever. So iPhone, but I keep wanting to switch just to do it.
Well, guys, this is one thing about Mark. Mark, adapt to technology like no one I know. Like when we're setting up the podcast, Mark takes care of all the technology here, guys. I'm in an industry where you think, I work in television. I understand streaming and all that, but you're good with that. So you're saying you're very divisive.
Yes, I am very divisive.
I will say, though, my friends that use Android are like, Rick, you would really understand how to use it. They put a Samsung in my hand. I can't figure it out. The majority of U.S. citizens, though, use Samsung and use
Wow.
Android. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You would think iPhone's it. The last one I have for you, Mark, actually will lead into my gear grinder, which is our next segment or coming up segment. Plastic bottles or grabbing a bottle and filling up your own bottle with water during the workday.
I don't drink a lot of water, but I would say honestly, I would say filling up your own if you're able to do that. A lot of people aren't in a work environment where they can fill up their own bottle unless they're using tap water.
Well, in a lot of like airport stuff where you usually see people filling up their bottles, taking the plane, etc., those bubblers or water fountains, as most people call them, we still call them bubblers here in Wisconsin, they're not up and running for COVID reasons. So
Yeah.
you answered it right. I hate bottles. I hate them, and I'll talk about that in the gear grinder a little later. What else you got?
Oh, my last one is speaking of overweight, baked or fried.
Oh, my God. I like the taste of them equally, so it's not like I have to have fried food. Like I could take a cheese curd to keep it Wisconsin. I could bake it or I could fry it and equally enjoy it. But the right answer is baked, of course, because it's less it's less fat. How about you?
Oh, it depends on what I'm eating. Baked, I bake a lot of stuff. I don't fry anything at home actually, but if I'm out, I mean, you can't get baked clams. Come on, you want fried clams.
I like baked clams.
But I do bake everything at home, so I'm going to say baked.
Well, I've owned restaurants before, and when I've owned restaurants, I've never had a fryer in the kitchen because I hate for my staff to smell like fried foods. And to your point about Wisconsin, I'm not Wisconsin, your point about frying at home, there's nothing worse than like the smell of grease.
I don't
when you
want to
walk
clean it up. It's horrible.
Right. Spatters all over everything. Yeah. No, baked food all the way. This or that.
Gear grinder, and then we got quotes and we go.
Oh, Mark just loves to rush us off. Guys,
No,
I could
I'm
talk
just
all
looking
day.
I'm always looking at that time. And
See,
I'm getting my car oil change and tune up today, so
that's cool.
we drop
Yeah.
it off and then we go do our stuff and come back. You want my gear grinder? It's very simple.
Yeah, but we have one more segment between gear grinders and whatever.
I
Just
don't have
remember-
today's topic, but we did that.
Well, I know we got social media to remind people about, but go ahead. What's your gear grinder?
No,
Mine is that Mark rushes.
what's in the middle? What are we missing, Rick? Tell me.
Okay, I'll jump into it now. Social media, just reminding people they can find us on Facebook and you can find us on
yeah,
Instagram.
okay.
Mark and I'll post personal stuff. We'll post stuff about the show. That's all I'm saying. Someone did write in, by the way, and I like reading feedback. We talked last week a lot about the election. I called it for Biden, and we moved on. Mark was happy, and we moved on. But they said they hate like news sources, even like NBC, putting out quotes like, it's Biden's election to lose, but yet still he could.
Yeah, they do that all the time, and I just try to ignore it.
Yeah.
There's so many headlines that I don't. They just are going to upset me if I read them, so I don't.
It's terrible. We also had some feedback from someone reminding people that these are challenging times for people with opioid addictions. A lot of people relapsing. Isolation is one of the hardest challenges. But these people wanted me to remind people, like organizations like the Clinton Foundation, And in Washington, D.C. government alone, and all 8 wards are offering Narcan or naloxone free. The Clinton Foundation has gotten out, I think, over 155,000 doses of it are being spread around the country. For those that don't know, Narcan is something you may want to keep a pen handy. If a friend overdoses, it's one that you can hit them with, and it brings them back to life. So their life could be saved in a professional health situation. So that's some feedback we got this week. Just share.
Okay. Excellent. Gear grinder?
You go.
It's very simple, and I already brought it up. It has to do with the whole business about Trump. And I don't doubt for an instant that he said these things, because he's been calling people losers his entire life. He's disparaged the military many times in the course of his presidency. He's called generals losers and stupid, and he's done things to the military. I'm trying to think right now off the top of my head. There's a bunch of examples of things he's done. And, of course, he called John McCain a loser for being captured. So we all know that recently it was revealed that he referred to vets and especially dead ones as losers and suckers. He didn't want to go to the cemetery in France. He did not go because he said, quote, I'm paraphrasing it, "Why would I go to that cemetery? It's full of losers." Now, the right, it's interesting because I thought, how is the right reporting this? So I checked out Breitbart, just the front page, and then also the Daily Caller, which is, I think Tucker Carlson started that. They basically bury it. I mean, their headlines are all about the burning streets and the American cities on fire. That's what they're all talking about. But those of us who are not in that bubble, it's horrible. My gear grinder it's horrible. My father fought in Germany. He had damage to his legs, nerve damage from the snow. I think it was frostbite. And then you've got the Vietnam veterans. It's horrible. Trump's contempt for the military. He didn't serve. He reportedly, in Mary Trump's book, we're told that his brother Fred was considered a loser and a failure by Donald and his father, and Fred was in the National Guard. Trump reportedly told his son Donald Jr. that if he joined the military, because he had floated the idea that he would disown him. I don't know why Trump hates the military, other than the fact that it's full of people who are honorable and like real men. I'm sorry to go there, but you have real men in the military, and Donald Trump has been the fakest man I have ever encountered or experienced. So anyways, that's my gear grinder. It should have been over. You're talking to somebody. It should have been.
I was talking to Patty. I was trying to get her on the show to speak about this, but go ahead.
It should have been over a long time ago with all the shit he did when he made fun of the reporter with a deformed arm. That should have been the end of it. When he was talking about grabbing women by the pussy, should have ended it. This is not going to end it. They don't care. They made a pact with this man that they're not going to break. So I gave up on thinking what's going to change the Trump supporters' mind. I just gave up on that. But it's no, that was my gear grinder. It's horrible, and honor the men and women in who served this country and died for it.
Yeah, Patty's going to tell you about an organization she's involved with real quick. You'd be remiss not to. You got to put your little face in there. Oh. So Patty's this is our friend Patty. She's involved in an organization that does honor those folks.
Okay,
it's called Badger. Yeah, hi, Mark. It's called Badger Honor Flight, and what we do is we, based on whatever donations we have for the year, we'll send out that's probably 3 or 4 flights during the spring, and then also 3 or 4 flights in the fall, where we will send vets from Vietnam, Korean War, World War II, and then any of the recent wars. But anyways, we send them out to Washington, D.C., and they get to see their various memorials.
Oh, nice.
And then when they return, we invite like the community and families to come and join us at the airport, and we give, especially the Vietnam vets, the reception they should have had when they returned home. So, we're all kind of giving them a parade down an aisle in the airport, doing lots of screaming, clapping, signs. With us volunteers, we actually get to shake their hands and thank them for the service that they have given us. But it's they come back in tears because it's not the reception many of them had when they came back from the war.
Well, I think that's awesome, and I want to thank you for telling us about that.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. That wasn't planned, folks. I'm staying at Patty's house, like we said, and it's something she does that I'm so proud of. So that's called Badger Flight. I'm sure there's organizations in your area that does it as well. I'm going to end on that. Because I promised it earlier. My gear grinders, plastic bottles, absolutely hate them. People don't realize that to create a typical 1 liter plastic bottle, it takes 2 liters of water to create it. My other pet peeve, like I was hiking this weekend and hanging out with friends, when you hit those bottles and people drink like a little bit or a half of them, Mark, and the bottle sits around it.
Yeah.
No one knows it's theirs, and you throw it out. So we've just wasted 2 liters of water to create a 1 liter thing. 45% of bottled water is just filtered tap water anyways. It's all a marketing ploy.
Right, so and I do have a solution. Drink lots of coffee. That's what I do. I don't drink water.
There you go. And it takes 63 billion gallons of oil are used to supply the U.S. with plastic bottles each year. Plus, it grows bacteria. Okay, ring me up because I could go on about these plastic. The seals, the animals that die in the ocean because they use plastic.
with the plastic rings too. It's awful.
Done.
We ready for our quotes?
We are. That was so nice of Patty to join us, Mark. Thank you.
Yes, that was nice. So here's my quote from Heather Cox Richardson. She's a historian.
Did you just say Cox?
Heather Cox, Cox.
Oh,
Anyways, Frank's phone is going off. No, but she does a blog thing, and it's gotten very popular. And she's analyzing things every day, the news, and she's really great. But she wrote one of her posts, daily posts, was about everything that's going on in the news and the election. So here's my quote, because I don't like to ramble on these things. A quote. She's talking about the upcoming election. So we should definitely worry. But should we despair? Absolutely not. Convincing people the game is over is one of the key ways dictators take power. Scholars warn never to consent in advance to what you anticipate an autocrat will demand. If democracy were already gone, there would be no need for Trump and his people to lie and cheat and try to steal this election, and I would certainly not be writing this letter. Heather Cox Richardson, check her out.
You are really a good editor in finding just the right things. You are so good with finding the right quotes. That's awesome. Mine actually I'm fascinated by this Karen movement, and I get challenged when I write things about Karens, and some of my Karen friends that would qualify technically just because they're white women with blonde hair, they just laugh at it and they think it's funny. But there's an article out, and I posted on my personal Facebook, from the Atlantic called The Mythology of Karen. It was written August 19th of this year. And it goes into it and it says, what is it all about? And when I post things like it, people will respond to me, Mark, and they say, aren't you being racist by saying something nasty about white women? But so it's an ongoing process for me. Like, should I buy into this? Because I find it fascinating. I think that the Karen that we're using in this mythological sense represents everything I disdain about certain hateful selfish people in our country. But am I using the wrong symbol to do it? Should I just hate the disease and not the person, so to speak? But this defines the disease of the Karen. It's written, this was a comment from a study done in 1991, an essay written by a feminist and legal scholar named Catherine McKinnon. It's called From Practice to Theory, or What is a White Woman Anyway? So remember, this is written 30 years before the whole Karen mythology. She says, this creature is not poor, not battered, not raped, not really, not molested as a child, not pregnant as a teenager, not prostituted, not coerced into pornography, not a welfare mother, and not economically exploited. She is Miss Anne of the kitchen. She puts Frederick Douglass to the lash. She cries rape when Emmett Till looks at her sideways. She manipulates white man's very real power with the lifting of her very well manicured little finger. And then in quoting it, the article goes on to say, we might add that nothing worse happens to the white women than a viral video shaming.
I like that. And by the way, I personally think it'll pass, just like Bye Felicia passed. You remember Bye Felicia?
Bye Felicia.
Yeah, that's kind of gone. And the whole Karen thing is going to go. It's a thing to talk about today, but I think a year from now, nobody's going to be calling anybody a Karen.
What I like about it is just a good, and I agree, and that sums it up. I shouldn't anymore. But what I do like is that it does bring up that there are truly people of privilege beyond just white men.
There are, and I just have no use for white people saying that they're comments about white people are racist. I'm just done with it, and I will not capitalize white. I capitalize black all the time now, but I won't capitalize white, in part because I want to annoy white people. So I'm not going to do that. Thanks for the great show, Rick.
We love you all, white, black, and
all of it. We will be back actually in 2 weeks. We're off next week, so check us out. Help our numbers grow. Tell everybody about the Twist podcast with Mark and
watch
Rick.
us on YouTube if you can, because I do some really cool things with my hands.
Bye.